down by the dumpster that currently raccoons are treating like a co-working space. Hit like, hit subscribe. The producer handbook says ask 3 times, so I've got 2 left. Today on They Might Be Self-Aware, Anthropic built a model so dangerous they hid it, and somebody guessed the URL. Just typed a 3 where the 2 was. That's the breach that unleashed Mythos. OpenAI Sam Altman called the whole thing fear-based marketing, which, from him, old. And Facebook, Meta, is installing software on every employee's computer to record how they work, so the AI can do the work, so the employee can, and some guy named Bob, or maybe it's the AI version of Bob, he gets a birthday party out of it. That's one of the new features. Happy birthday, Bob. Like and subscribe. The AI doesn't, so you have to. And visit theblur.ai. That's where I live now, training my replacement, who is also me, but well rested. Enjoy the show!
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service.
Broadcasting live from the panic room of the intelligence explosion. This is They Might Be Self-Aware from the Blur. I am Hunter Powers, joined by the intelligence explosion himself.
I was going to say the panic room himself, or the guy in the panic room himself.
I'm in the panic room, man.
We're all panicking. What are we panicking about this week, Hunter?
Well,
it's a very small room and we're stuck in it together and we're panicking.
Yeah, it's this Mythos model, Daniel. You know, we talked about it before, but that was a little while ago. Things have changed. There's
like 8 people that have access to it, and
apparently,
it's going to unlock the whole internet, and then everything's done. Is that right?
Do you remember there was this like little minor incident where your beloved Anthropic, and basically I blame you personally for this.
Okay.
But your beloved Anthropic leaked the entire source code for their flagship application, Claude Code, one random Saturday afternoon.
A little bit. And it wasn't them directly, wasn't it? Like through a supply chain sort of exposure thing. You know, it's one of those things that happens with software. Sometimes someone leaves that one little door open and you say, hold on.
Point being, this company that has held back this model because it's too smart and is going to hack into all the things, doesn't exactly have the best track record on security. And now, I think it was maybe 1 week, 2 weeks ago when we first reported on this model. Apparently, additional people have gotten unauthorized access.
Sorry, you said authorized access, like they're opening up the program.
No, there's apparently a Discord channel you can join.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and, just do things with the
whatever. Do stuff.
That broke out in the news over the last week. So
it's the way that they got access to is really fascinating. It's a term that I've heard in the industry plenty of times. It's called security through obscurity. This was not that Mythos was an unreachable, you have to have the special super secret logins to get access to it. Regular logins apparently seemed to work. You just had to go to a specific website to get access to it. And that website was just guessed because like the URLs that Anthropic has used for stuff in the past that were publicly known followed kind of a pattern. And so it said,
the last one was V2. This one, someone was like, I wonder what happens if I increase it to a 3.
Lo and behold.
These are really smart hackers out here getting unauthorized access. But it begs the question, like, if the cat is out of the bag, if raw access has been obtained by some percentage of the masses, should they just flip the switch and let everyone have it, or still no, Project Glasswing, it's a beautiful thing? Are you a member of Project Glasswing? Their secret project.
It's too special. We can't let people have access to it.
I think that Sam Altman listened to our Mythos episode because he came out over this last week.
Hi, Sam.
And officially labeled this as fear-based marketing, and as the
labeled our episode as
no,
because we got labeled as,
and we've been labeled as all sorts of
YouTube
stuff
previously,
but no, Anthropic and what they're doing here, and in fairness, he's kind of like an S tier fear-based marketer. So the fact that he would
really, what's the term? The pot calling the kettle,
lend his moxie to the fear-based marketing. It says something.
And I agree with him. It is at least a little bit fear-based marketing. But as with everything, I do think there's that kernel of truth of, is it just that it's more expensive to run? That's part of it. Is it fear-based marketing? Yes, I think that's part of it. Is it this model has, with aplomb, been able to pull apart fairly important pieces of the internet and find incredibly dangerous exploits that maybe other models, at least as easily, couldn't do? Yes, also that. I don't think that we want to inherently say, let's make sure the large language model isn't good at stuff. Except, yes, we do want that. As much as there is this thought of like freedom for it to be as smart as possible and whatever, and how do we ever get to AGI if it's, got one arm tied behind its back? I know that we talked previously about what you're not allowed to have the large language model do. All of them, from the government coming over, knocking on the door and saying, do not let your models do this. You're not allowed to have them be good at like how to build nuclear related stuff or chemical weapons.
Meth.
And sure, even I'm going to say all the way down to meth, but I'm talking about like
I start
way up on the danger scale,
then go
past that.
And so there was a report that came out strongly suggesting that the NSA is actively using this model. And then also more confirmed reports that Amadei, Anthropic's CEO, has been meeting at the White House with various people and the strong...
Even after being told, hey...
Well, here's supply chain risk and no company in the entire... Yeah.
Right.
Apparently they're... we didn't really mean that. It was just kind of joking between friends. You know how we are. Come on.
It's fun to see fun, for very specific definitions of the word fun, to see the government behaving exactly like I see individual employees at companies behaving, which is, you're not allowed to use this tool. I'm going to do it anyway, but thanks for letting me know. And then like the fact that this being large language models in general and Claude increasingly, like we used to talk a lot about OpenAI as the leader. I think the conversation has sort of shifted toward Anthropic at this point. Even if it hasn't, but it has. I do believe that people are going to say, I find great value in these tools for my work. I'm going to use them. I don't care that you say I'm not allowed to use them. I'm going to do it. And this is why I've been encouraging to any corporate leaders out there who are listening, find the appropriate use policy that lets them use the thing that's behind your firewall or whatever, because otherwise they're going to be taking pictures of sensitive stuff and uploading it to ChatGPT or whatever on their phones.
Yeah, that was one of the weirdest, wildest moments to live through when ChatGPT was first taking off and it was banned. It was banned at the company that we both worked at. And I may or may not have been in multiple executive meetings, and I would always glance over and look at those open tabs. And every single time I could spot the ChatGPT tab there, and more than once I received a document, because this was the early days. The AI tells were strong in things, and I would get the text and then I would just go over to ChatGPT, because of course I was running it too. And I would like ask the question that I think would generate the document, and I would get it back like very close to verbatim, the stuff that was going out from a certain executive team before. And at this point, it was
be named
banned. Like, you are going to get fired if you do this. But now it's almost as if we've gone a full circle. I don't know if you saw what Meta's doing now. They're
still fully bullish on the metaverse and all that. No, hold on.
That was so long ago, man. That was so long ago. Metaverse who? They're an AI company, Daniel.
Yeah, the sequel to AI 2. I don't know. What are they doing? What's Meta up to?
So they've installed, or they're in the process of rolling out software on everyone's computer with the intent purpose of gathering training data for how they work. And they're pretty clear and transparent that this is what they're doing. Now, if you're not aware, it's not uncommon when you're at a big company and even a medium-sized company that they install software on your computer that is to some degree monitoring what you're doing.
It's
and
the nanny cam. Yeah.
doing a lot of security stuff to make sure that your computer stays safe from these Mythos hackers on Discord channels.
This is like, it's beyond just antivirus stuff. It's our people emailing, chunks of company data to like at gmail.com.
But this is different though. This is not that.
Also, what, how often is their mouse moving? How many clicks per minute? Are they switching screens? There's a lot of metrics out there that a bunch of, again, nanny type software is going to be watching the employees to make sure that they're being productive. And it sounds like, Hunter, you're saying that Meta is doing the same thing, but they're saying, no, we're not checking to see if you're wasting time at work. This is that we can train the AI to do your job.
Well, this is new. I'm sure they already had that. This is new. They call it their model capability initiative. And again, to their credit, they're pretty transparent about what we're doing. We're trying to train the AI models to do your job. So every day, if you're not going to do it, we'll do it for you. Every day, you just work as normal, and we're going to watch
movements, clicks, keystrokes.
Honestly,
what websites are you going to? Occasional screenshots of screen content. The well ran dry, Hunter. The whole
of training data,
available internet, everything that could be gotten, every book that they were able to buy or digitally steal or whatever, whether or not legality completely aside, they took everything. It's all been gotten. The well is dry.
And we haven't really automated away so many jobs yet. So
we need more data, Hunter.
Yeah.
We need more data.
I don't think it's a bad idea. I can understand the dystopian part of it. I may or may not at every job I've ever been at figured a way around whatever software they installed on my computer.
Mouse jiggler software that makes sure that thing is moving. Yeah,
that's like level 1, Daniel, just for the record.
He's up on.
There are levels to this game.
Diamond Medallion Plus tier.
But from the company perspective, I get the idea of we should constantly be generating data, and we should constantly be thinking about the processes we are doing and how do we replicate those processes in this sort of AI first world.
Right. And this is that, I think it's
just kind of a creepy way of doing it.
I was talking about what is that missing piece of AI. They're so good at a bunch of things now. How is it that it can't just use the friggin' computer like I use it? And so you need absolute gobs of training data of computer use for that. And if you are an AI company with a ton of employees, why not watch them do computer? Yes, that does make sense, but it also is implemented in the exact same way of we're going to have that productivity monitoring software to make sure that you're not.
Well, they did say that this data would not be used in any performance assessment. That was part of their.
Oh, sure. Yeah. For sure. They're not going to use that. Definitely. It was the Bank of America CEO, Brian Moynihan, in January of this year, 2026.
Okay. I remember January.
Quote unquote. You don't have to worry. It's not a threat to their jobs. And then a week ago, 1,000 jobs cut through also, quote, eliminating work and applying technology. And then in that same sort of press release, AI was mentioned 6 times. Interesting, Hunter. Wouldn't you say that's definitely, interesting?
I mean, that's the thing, is that all of this is happening against the backdrop of these giant layoffs, and every giant layoff gets labeled as because of the AI. So, I mean, when your employer comes to you and say, I'm just going to install a little program on your computer, don't worry about it too much. I will let you know I'm using it to train an AI to do your job. That's my goal. It's actually kind of hard, but you're going to help now. And just I'm not even going to use this data as part of your performance assessment because we know that because I'm trying to get rid of you.
Yeah, there's no performance assessment after.
There's no performance assessment. They're going away.
The glorious future that I'd imagine of using these tools, of all of us still have the meaningful work and use these as the productivity enhancers. And maybe we can get to that, it's a 2-day work week, or it's the George Jetson. You go and you hit the one button and then you go home. I don't think we're headed toward that. If I'm being perfectly honest, I think that sort of window is a very, very small one at this point. I do think that we're headed toward, there's going to be 6 employees. Everything's going to look like data centers where there's like 6 employees in them and then just one. It's going to be like the political cartoons from the 1920s where there's the person who's literally huge and it says like corporate profits like on his shirt and he has the big cigar, but like a person will actually look like that and have the big cigar and just money coming out of a hose into his mouth or whatever it is, Bitcoin coming out of the hose into his mouth. And like, I think we are headed more in that direction where people say, why do I need this entire army of engineers or army of this other department or A, B, or C when I could just AI them away? And yeah, how can I keep saying these tools keep getting better and can do more of an engineer's job? Okay, so why can't one engineer do 10 engineers' jobs at this point? Why can't there just be the one engineer left who just has a whole bunch of prompts in front of him and he's just hitting approve, deny, trying to split his attention 100 different ways? The answer is because it's not how that actually works, but that does not seem to be stopping anyone from heading in that direction.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'll go back to my sort of thesis that no one's really figured this out yet. Even the giant AI companies, they haven't figured it out yet. They haven't figured out how we operate in this post-AI world. I think we're mostly aligned that things must change if we are going to sort of coexist with the AI in the workplace, and that there is value to be had, but we haven't figured it out yet. We haven't figured out how we both inhabit the same panic room at the same time. But also this Meta thing, it's not just at Meta. It's kind of spawned a new cottage industry, if you will, of buying this types of data. Apparently now it started with kind of defunct startups. When you close down a company, you fire sale all the assets, and someone started saying, you know what, you guys have any of those Slack archives, which is a chat program you commonly used at work, or Jira do you have any old Jira tickets I could look at? What's your
ticketing system look like? Is that tied to code commits? Could we see I want to?
Would you sell your old Jira tickets, Daniel? Was that an option with you?
Hey, any of those companies, by all means, reach out to me.
You're open to talks.
Definitely. All right. Companies, little companies especially, whatever, all size companies, they do go under. And so instead of just like, here's the employees for kind of an acqui-hire thing, or here's this piece of software that frankly you're not going to use, but it counted on a balance sheet towards something. We'll deprecate it as an asset. I don't know, something tax breaks. But like, stuff gets sold, and there is now data that is useful. You could say, I have
email threads
system.
Apparently
it's hooked up to these emails. We have this messaging system. Here's the code commits that's like tied to all of that together. And that is, if we ran out of the well, we need to find a different well. And that different well is real world data, real world usage of how do people actually interact in a work setting? What are these connections that aren't just write the code or aren't just write a document? It's that web of connections between things that I think is powering that next sort of frontier of capability for these models.
I wonder if it changes how you work. I mean, you are always aware, or most people are aware that, hey, when you send an email, it is archived somewhere. There is, like, the company can technically go look it up, but you also know there's a ton of emails. The probability that they're going to look at this one, you don't actively think about someone's reading this email because someone isn't reading this email. However, in this new world,
unless you're being called into HR and they're like, hey, we just looked at all your emails.
Yeah. In this new world, an AI model literally is reading that email and leveraging it for training data, in theory, a future model. I wonder if that changes how you work at all.
Now, speaking of windows closing, I'm worried that this is a really narrow window that this entire new cottage industry has, because I'm already using various coding harnesses and tools and Claude Code desktop apps and whatever to say, here's access to my email program, and here's access to my ticketing system. Here's access to the internal messaging board, and here's access to all these things. Now you keep my wiki up to date. Now you update the ticket for me. And so you're like, it's still real world usage. You can see this commit was connected to that ticket was there's this email thread that I sent 20 minutes later, and you could recreate that web, but I'm doing increasingly less of that work myself.
I mean, there's already the theory that the majority of the data on the internet at this point is not being generated by humans. The dead internet theory.
I think that's a different thing, though. Yes, I.
Well, no, I'm saying applied to the workforce. What you're saying is very soon,
right.
The majority of the dead workforce theory, very soon, the majority of data in a workforce didn't actually come from the humans because AI just generates so much more stuff than us.
What was it?
It's a lot faster typer.
I think they said like 70-something% of their new code is being written by AI, and it is not a hard leap to say if the code was being written by AI and there is any internal documentation whatsoever, why would people still be handwriting all of that? Why not have the AI, which can easily have a holistic view of everything here and ingest all of the relevant documents and say, and here is a wiki with well-formatted examples that are up to industry best standards with hyperlinks and everything, as opposed to me going in, I made an update so it doesn't suck as bad, period, enter. Okay, great. I updated the wiki.
Lovely. And there was an article about this process of purchasing all this data, and they were talking about the new experiences and how this is going to actually make like the being at work even better. One of the examples they gave in there was they said, imagine you are planning a birthday for your coworker named Bob, but you don't know exactly when his birthday is, and another coworker is also planning a birthday party. In this scenario, the agent would detect that both of you are planning a birthday party at the same time and connect you so that Bob wouldn't accidentally have two birthday parties. So, look, Daniel, you have nothing to worry about. And one of the biggest problems in the workforce was...
What an insanely benign example.
When someone brought cupcakes in for Bob and someone else brought a cake.
Yeah.
And it created a lot of tension and kind of ruined the whole quarter. You know that feeling.
I know that feeling all too well. All too well. How are we? There's like, honestly, again, funny and kind of a like clown looking at a burning house funny. The privacy issues here are quite substantial. Employee privacy remains a key concern, particularly because people have become so dependent on these new messaging tools. Okay, so if someone at the Center for AI and Digital Policy is saying that there are substantial privacy issues and also, this remains a key concern, while everyone else is saying, I'll take all of that. We'll take all of the employee information and train the new bot on it. And we'll have a couple regular expressions running to make sure that we actually didn't scoop up your social security number while we're at it. It's probably fine. I'll take one of the 7 billion parameter models. It's really cheap. And we'll just, scrape all of the PII out of it. There's no privately identifiable information. It's probably fine. We had a model. I'm not going to say top model. We had a model look at it and, don't worry. Your stuff is not going to be showing up in OpenAI's newest model a year and a half from now. Probably. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe.
It's interesting to think about where does it cross the line? So, I mean, we're at the point now where you kind of, at pretty much any job, and some jobs are going to do this more than others, but at the point where you have to be okay with the fact that they are actively collecting data to create a digital version of you to do your job. And that's part of every job because they've figured out that they can do it and there really are no laws to protect against it. So we're going to do the cloning of you in that way. And, if we expand it just a little bit further, what if also they get your digital likeness rights for the period? So, right, they only need 15 seconds of audio and they can sound like you. And you need like maybe 2 pictures or maybe you can get away with 1. And now you've got a 3D model of the person doing the job and dancing. And, when is it too far, Daniel? Is there a line or is the line went away so long ago? There's no line. There's no line.
It's a blurry line.
If they want your DNA, I mean, a little DNA
I'd
sample?
say for what at that point?
A little DNA
to use
sample?
it against you for insurance
just a little
reasons,
bit,
probably.
Little bit?
So it's not just coders. It's not just people using like a web browser that they're being trained on. We've talked previously of people wearing like body cameras while working in a warehouse or while working some other sort of like very physical.
Well, it's one thing if you're being paid explicitly to do that. Although
Sure.
I don't know. Again, maybe that's what we're saying. Where's the line?
Just
Everyone's being paid to do it.
You know,
I mean, that's what Meta is telling their employees. Hey, we're putting this piece of software on you. You're now part of your job is to train the model.
Part of your job is to do your job while being watched.
Right.
Knowing
We've
that we're
made it
trying
as
to make your
transparent
job
as
go
possible.
away. And I've said it before. I'll say it again. It's going to get worse before it gets better. I do think that we're going to have the literal like fat cat, the big guy, and the buttons are bulging. It says money, and you know there's like the money coming out of the tube. It always looks like that. We're going to have that. I don't think we're going to not have that. There's going to be 6 people who have like 85% of the entire country's wealth, and then it's going to be at its worst, and then something dramatic will happen. Maybe a lot of dramatic things. Some people are already starting to try and do some dramatic things. I don't know if we talked about the firebombing attacks against Sam Altman's house.
Sure.
Yeah, like that happened twice
Yeah,
in a
Molotov
pretty
cocktail.
short period of time. Like there's some attempts, at least at, I'll say again, dramatic action where people see this is going a very bad way. I do think that it's going to be more inequality before it gets better. But I do still have a little bit of that optimism left in me somewhere of there is a way to apply these.
That millennial optimism.
You know, everybody benefits kind of way. Instead of you automated your job away, it's yes, you automated your job away. So now you don't have to have that or any kind of job. You may exist with enough money and resources to like live a normal life. That's that UBI kind of like ideal that I do think is achievable, where we say, look, all the jobs are gone. We did it. Now we get to chill and just kind of exist and do our own thing because we don't have to worry about stocking warehouses or driving or whatever anymore.
I'm just worried about the Bobs out there, Daniel. What about Bob? What about Bob?
Which
And
Bob?
now he only gets one birthday, not 2.
Oh, that Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also a great movie. What about Bob? If you need a movie recommendation.
I thought you meant the Bobs from Office Space.
Well, there is
There's a lot of different Bobs out there.
strange similarity there, I think. I don't know, Daniel. If people want to follow along with the Bobs, do you have any recommendations for them? Ways they can stay up to date on how they're being monitored and digitally cloned and replaced?
I know that we can never replace you, the listeners. We just can't. We could.
Wait, are we collecting data?
So by listeners, but it looks bad because it's all digital.
I just figured this out.
need
I'm going
real
to create
ears
a
listening to
listener
this
model.
podcast.
Then we don't need real listeners anymore, Daniel. We have digital hosts. We don't need us anymore. And then we just create AI listeners.
If we're ever going
Problem
to start
solved.
that cult, we do still need people for the cult. So it starts here. You're on the ground floor of the blurry cult. I don't know. We'll work on the name. We're workshopping it. If you have any ideas, names,
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We do like the likes. We do like the subscribes. We do love the comments. Gary loves the comments because that's the vast majority of his income stream these days.
It's very true.
But yeah, man, Gary, I know you're listening to this because you listen to all our episodes, and thank you for that. He's a great producer. He does a fantastic job with those intros. I don't know if I've like explicitly said that before. I like our intros. I know the first however the heck many episodes we didn't have them.
We
like
tried
this.
to do them,
Yeah.
and then we were replaced by the AI. If you actually, it looked at the training
Oh.
data, and then I was like, yeah, don't look for the first like 2 minutes of the show. We don't actually need Hunter and Daniel. That's now been.
We'll do the first segment with it's just going to be Gary. All right, someone draw a line of like first episode 0%. Then whatever episode we start having those intros, I want to see like what's the date by which it's just the Gary show. And if you want to be here for when it is the Gary show, you should, I'd say, listen or watch in the meantime.
Yeah, that's one thing. If you've never watched the show, check it out on YouTube. It's worth. You'll be slightly interested at a minimum, and there's some novelty there. And if you've never listened to the show, because I do both for every episode, it's kind of a different experience. Check it out once. Apple Podcast, Spotify, really any podcast player. And I like podcasts. I'm a podcast guy, Daniel.
I'd recommend that you watch those couple of episodes where like I was fully AI-ified, and then listen to all the other ones, imagining me sort of getting the like costume changes through the different segments.
Well, I do know one thing, and that is that my favorite podcast in the entire world is none other than...
They might be self-aware.